Hello, everyone, and welcome to Longer and Harder, the show on the internet where we take a subject and we go deeper. How are you all doing today? I hope you all are having yourselves a wonderful, wonderful Sunday afternoon, evening, whatever time of the day it is for you. Hope you're having some good times there. Hello, Pasta and Ugly German Truths and Jelly and Micro, and I saw Gio in there too. How you all doing? It's Sunday. It's things. Weekend's almost over. It's awful. It's awful outside today for me here in Nebraska. It's like all cloudy and gross. The what do we call it? Tornado alarms went off yesterday while I was playing D&D, and that was fun. I don't think a tornado actually touched down though. So it was just, I don't know, practice tornado. So yeah. Weekend was kind of wasted with work. Yeah, it happens. Let's see what's new. Oh, we can jump right into, I think, just housekeeping. I don't know, not much housekeeping. My hair is getting longer every day and I hate it. I'm gonna have to start I think wearing a headband or a hat, one or the other, but this is getting ridiculous. Beard is coming in, but it gets trimmed every Monday before I go to work, so this is gonna get trimmed again, which just sucks. Starting to get in, but it's still not there yet. Life, the struggles are real. Let's just look at this. Look at this shit. This shit's awful. I don't like it. I don't like my hair being long, but well, whatever. It's gonna have to be. It's gonna have to be. Other bit of housekeeping. If you follow me on the Twitters and or watch my YouTube page things or whatever they're called, you will have noticed that there is a debate video. It is finished. The next Eric debate video has been finished. It is uploaded. It is private on my account. I do not know when I'll release it. Mostly because I want to make you all wait more. I don't. Yeah, I don't know. So it is ready. I just have to. I really just have to unprivate it. I'm probably gonna do one of those YouTube Premiere things. Before I do that, I just don't know for what date. That'll be. I don't want to. I kind of want to go back to my Saturday mornings, which is what I usually do. Kind of thing. So might have it for Saturday. I don't know. I'm indecisive. I'm being indecisive today. Maybe today. So yeah. So not. Yeah. I'm just being an indecisive asshole about it. That is all. Besides that, we can jump into things fairly quickly because there really just isn't a whole lot of housekeeping to do besides that. No beer of the week. I don't have a new beer. I have a beer. Let me grab it. I have a beer that I thought I would save for like a special day, and I just don't know when that special day will appear. So I have this beer. Put it on this side. I have this beer, which is from Boulevard. From Boulevard? No, it's not from Boulevard. It's from the Schutz. That's Schutz. Sounds German, but it's from Oregon. Oregon. Das Hoots. I don't know. Gio's around. Maybe he can figure that shit out for me. If it'll like whatever's. So there's that. It's called the Abyss. It's a reserve. I think it's some Imperial Stout brew with blackstrap molasses, licorice, sherry bark, black pepper, and a whole vanilla beans aged in a sherry barrel. Which I'm really tempted to break out. I was gonna say for a special day, but this is like the only new beers that I have. It's out of focus. I don't know. It looks German, but that doesn't say much. Like I'm not sure it'll actually focus. There you go. The Schutz Brewing Company. I don't know what it is. So that's like the only new beer we have. Which I don't know. Maybe we'll do next week. Who knows? Until then, we'll continue with our usual Lucky Buckets because Lucky Bucket is like the only brewery that I go to anymore because I have really cheap beer at the moment. So I went back, bought some more beer, so that's what we'll do. Ew on the beer. Your beers taste weird. I have done a more than a good college try on German beers, and you know what? No. You know what? No. Your beers also taste bad. Like at least your purity law beers are awful. Like not gonna lie, they're pretty gross. You wouldn't be legally allowed to call this beer here in the same reason that R&D isn't allowed to enter purity laws. It's wine. Yes, it is mostly wine. Hello, Rod. How are you? All right, so yeah, that's it. There's no beer of the week, obviously, because I'm not going to breweries anymore or grocery stores. I haven't been to a grocery store in a while because of very obvious reasons. So okay. And so that takes us straight into video options for today. Pretty straightforward. I think one of these might be gone. The ARTV one, I think it's gone off the internet. I think I still have it though. So if you want to do that one, we still definitely can. I think I downloaded it before it disappeared off the YouTubes. But it does appear to be like gone. Somebody was not somebody either got their channel shut down or something happened, but it is no longer in existence. So that's a thing. But we can go back here. Our options for today are 7-Year-Old Transitions by Blair White, Immigration by ARTB, which I think is the one that's gone off the internet. SJWs versus Sonic by Geekdom 101. Question mark by Jeranism. I mostly don't remember what that one's about. About something, I'm sure. I just don't remember what. Interview with WHO, or WHO, the World Health Organization, right? Random or Cam. That one has puppets. That one has puppets in it. It's real cringy. Like, it's real cringy. See, I think it's a skit. I think it's supposed to be. I don't know if I'm supposed to take him seriously or not. That's the problem. Orcs Are Racist by The Quartering. The Quartering. You'll never cease to provide entertainment for me. And Simping by Carl Gon. Carl Gon being Sargon of Akkad. So, if you would like to vote, all you gotta do as soon as a Cloudbot decides to show up. Let's see if we can get Cloudbot to show up. Alright, let's see if Cloudbot will show up. If you'd like to vote, all you gotta do is an upside down I vote, and then the number you like to vote for. And that's what we'll try to talk about for the next amounts of time. The Orcs Are Racist is going to be a fun one. Yes. Oh, Red's the one who suggested the Carl Gon simping one. that one's a good one. I think it's a good one. I had to look up simping just for for this because I'm not all hip with the internet fads or whatever. So I had to look it up. But yeah, it really seems to just be it's from what I don't know. It's weird. I don't want to talk about it until we actually talk about it if we get to it. So I had to look that up. Carl Gon is Sargon of Akkad or a parody account. No, it's definitely Sargon of Akkad. It's easier. I did have to use Urban Dictionary. Not gonna lie, I had to go like Google simping and then Urban Dictionary that shit. One of the websites did say it is not an acronym. What do you call? Is it an acronym when you take like the first letter of everything and put it together, like NASA, whatever, National Aeronomics or whatever, Aerodynamics, Aero something Space Agency. When you put it together, oh god, we're simping. God, I don't remember what it means. See, now I'm gonna have to look it up. It is an acronym. Okay, good. I'm not that okay. Simping. So, talking about simping because I want to. So I think it was this article that I found at it. Okay, where are you? Where is it? Here we go. It's the word internet puts the abbreviation sucker, idealizing me. Gosh, this is why I probably forgot about it. Sucker, idealizing mediocre pussy. God damn. YouTube, I said this was not a kid-friendly show. So please don't yell at me. So yeah, that's what it is. That's what at least this article by Metro.co says about it. There's a few other articles that I read. Urban Dictionary is definitely one of them. I really probably should have actually watched like a video on it because like if I know. Not from Urban Dictionary. Urban Dictionary is just the thing. Is commonly used to criticize and mock men who overvalue women and feel entitled to women's attention. Yeah, somebody called it the Gen Z's version of millennials friend zoned, right? I think that's something like that. From Simpleton, yeah, I don't. It's the internet. It probably has more than one place where it was used. So yeah, so those are our options for today. The one that seems to be, I'm gonna go check it out. The one that seems to be winning right now is Orcs by the Quartering, which, by the way, if you haven't, you should. She-Ra and the Princess of Power, the final season is on Netflix, and it's fucking amazing. I got 3 episodes left to watch, which I'll probably do after this. It's a really good show. You should go check it out. Also follow Noelle Stevenson on Twitter. She's fantastic. She's the showrunner. She's just adorable all the time. So definitely go check that out. But yes, if we're going to talk about the quarter, we also have to talk about She-Ra because we do. Because we always have to talk about She-Ra when it involves the quartering. The quartering. Oh goodness, what did he tweet today? He tweeted out something about like how he loves everyone. Oh yeah, it is already in the final season. It's 5 seasons long, so it's been going on for a bit now. They took away his cartoon boobs. It's just he couldn't handle it. Throughout the couple of years, 2-3 years that She-Ra's been running, quartering, every once in a while we'll tweet about like there's more than one. There's plenty of them. Like gay couples in the show. And there's one non-binary character in the show. And throughout the whole thing, like the whole show, every once in a while the quartering will like tweet out about like the awfulness of like showing like 2 female characters kissing on TV or 2 male characters kissing on a kid show. And yeah, so I mean he's a homophobe, so that's not at all surprising. So yeah, so that's been his thing. But it's a really good show, very inclusive. I think I don't like these aren't personal experiences, so I don't know, but I think they're I think, as far as I can tell, their portrayal of different sexualities and different sexual identity or gender identity. Sorry, their portrayal of those by Noelle Stevens has been really good. I know that the one character who's non-binary got my wife to ask a whole lot of questions about non-binary individuals, so we were talking about that and kind of went through it. So that was kind of neat. And then the gay couples that are there are it's kind of weird to say like you portray them as like normal people, and that's good. But that's what that's really what it was. It's like they're just portrayed as like, you know, one of them is Bo, one of the main characters, has 2 dads, and he's just like, yeah, my dads, and he just says it like it's not, and nobody sits there and questions like, why do you have 2 dads? They're like, no, I have 2 dads. It's like, fine, my dads. Very loving family, like they're just portrayed as normal people like they should be, so that's cool. So he obsessively watches the show that he hates so much. I don't know, I don't even know if he watches it. He might watch it, honestly. I don't know. He might just sit there and like find pictures on the internet of like couples together and then get pissy about it, because people to be fair, it's also like my fault and those of us who give him attention for it, right? Like we give him attention for those comments, but you know, if he wants to portray himself as a bigot, then that's his own problem. Okay, I can send you the Sip Nation TikTok memes or some background information on what the internet really sees as simping are. Oh yes, please do that. That would be good, because I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, so we can no longer vote. They dared have a romantic kiss at the end of a kid's show. How dare they? I know, right? Having 2 moms must be awful. You get stuck in an endless loop of go ask your mom. That's great. I like that one. All right. So number voting. Voting is done. We'll get that poll all closed up and see what won. I think Orcs won. I think if I was paying attention to the poll, Orcs won that one. So we can get that ready. Yep, number 6 won. So Orcs are racist by quartering, because I love talking quartering. He is just my faves. Okay, so let's see if this is, now that I haven't been doing the thing. That was a sentence. I haven't been downloading the videos anymore, because a lot of the I have to figure out a way. I should figure out a way to do it. I think you can if you like have YouTube Plus or Prime or whatever the fuck they call it. I think you can like download videos from there. Oh god, bad. But to Adobe Photoshop, there we go. Like I think you can if you do that. But like a lot of the websites that I used to use for downloading videos off of YouTube have been kind of just not been a little bit too shady, so we just kind of avoided it. Two dads mean double the dad jokes. In the last season of She-Ra, one of there's a clue involved, and it's a dad joke, and it's fantastic. Like, it's a dad joke. They leave behind a clue, and the clue is a dad joke, and it's great. I love it. Like, I burst out laughing, and my wife can't stand me anymore. You can download if you have YouTube Red. Okay, so I might have to upgrade to YouTube Red just so that I can download some of these videos, because they are laggy. I'm not gonna lie. They just, I love Bo's dads. Bo's dads are fantastic. Like, I'm still my favorite character is still Scorpia. Love Scorpia. She's fantastic. Oh, what a great character. There's just so good. There's this one. God, I'm talking about She-Ra rather than the quartering, but and you know, it's a thing. There's this one episode where she's sitting there. You like get to watch her go through her morning routine, and she looks at the mirror, and she's like, she just looks at herself. Is like, okay, suppress all self-doubt, and just like sits there and looks at herself. It's so endearing. Oh my god. Oh goodness. Okay, so that's that. It was great. Double the dad jokes isn't that bad. Anybody watching the weekly poker night at EIE can confirm you somewhat numbed down about that's horrible and worth the jokes after the first 25,000. Yep. Okay, so this is a quartering. Obviously just embraces the neckbeard stereotype. Like, I'm sorry, like, he's just, I'm not even gonna pretend like I care about being nice to the quartering, because I don't. Entirely 100% embraces the neckbeard stereotype, all out. A little background on the quartering: he's been kicked out of the Magic the Gathering community, mostly because he was harassing a cosplayer. So he's a jack, like he's a complete, he's genuinely a jackass. So so just not really worth your time for the most part. And his big claim to fame is just saying really dumb shit. Like, like I said, one of the last times we talked about him, this is the same guy who complained about She-Ra's boobs being too small. Who, by the way, is like a 16-year-old girl. When was it? The NFL. What's the NFL thing that happened? Super Bowl. There we go. When the Super Bowl happened, whatever, back February, I don't even know when the Super Bowl happened. Whenever the Super Bowl happened, I think Shakira and Jennifer Lopez did the halftime show, and this is the only reason that I know this shit, is that he like complained about the fact that there were two attractive women dancing on stage. Like, that he was just like, how dare they let two attractive women work on stage? That's just horrible. The children, why don't you think of the children? It's great. So he complains that 16-year-old cartoon girls aren't sexy enough, and that real women are too sexy. That's what he complains about on the internet. That's the quartering in a nutshell. Cartoon girls aren't sexy enough. Real women are too sexy. Take that as you will. It's in February, okay. I've lost all sense of time at this point. Doesn't YouTube's song downloader work anymore? I got Aaron raw videos through it after watching them twice in the World History Things on Green's channel. I'm gonna have to look for some. One of them was just not working. I think it's because, so one of them isn't working because they're like, you use too many ad blockers, or you use an ad blocker, and I do, and so fuck you. I don't want to turn them off for your shit. So I might just get YouTube Red. I think that might be that might be his the best solution here. Okay, so that's the quartering. What's the quartering gonna talk about? He's gonna talk about orcs and how not how they are racist, but that orcs are canceled. That is his thing. And you know what? Since somebody complains about the fact that I never put in what I'm talking about, we are going to go with Longer and Hoarder. Orcs are racist for the title of the video, so that nobody can show up and complain that I don't put what the title of the video is, because I usually don't know until it's too late. But so here we go. We got ourselves the quartering. Orcs are racist.
I have truly sad news to report to all of you, and I don't really know any other way to convey the message other than letting you know in the most totally not drawn out, not overly dramatic way possible that orcs are canceled. That's right.
Orcs are canceled. So I think I know what he's talking about. So orcs are canceled. Orcs are obviously not canceled, right? Like he's already oh God, what a fucking idiot. And there was a bunch of people who got real upset about this on the internet. I commented on a few of them. This is pretty much people who don't understand literary studies in any way, shape, or form. It seems to be like the big one. It's just not understanding what it means to analyze literature in a critical way. Is 99% of the problem here. It seems to work for me. Song Downloader is great. Song Downloader. I will find a notebook for that. I have like a billion notebooks here, but these are sketchbooks. Ooh, who's here? Micro's here. Micro's the only one who cares, but I'm gonna post this on Twitter anyways. I have a thing. What does this mean? I don't know. Micro will maybe know in a couple of weeks, depending. So I do have a computer. That is true, but I like writing things. Okay, here's my notepad of notes. Notepad of notes. Song Downloader. I'm glad we stopped the show so I could take notes. Okay, so some people pointing out that us being really cool with making fantasy where racism is correct means orcs are canceled. Yes. So yeah, so orcs aren't canceled, which is the thing, which is already we're off. Orcs aren't canceled. You can, if you play D&D, if you like D&D, if you like Tolkien, if you like whatever, you can still like orcs. Like there's nothing, or like orcs, or have them in your literature or whatever, or in your fantasy. They're not canceled, right? That's not at all what's happening. It's not that like orcs, it's not even that like orcs, and this is something he gets entirely wrong in this video. It's not something with orcs. It's not that orcs are racist. It's that, well, and we'll get there, but it's something that he gets wrong. It's not about the actual orcs that matters. It's about how we portray orcs in relation to human history, pretty much. That's it. We'll start with there, and then we'll go through it. I don't think these people have the mental capacity to think of anything besides base level criticism, even if that's iffy. Yeah, I think you're right.
What's happening out there?
Oh,
You call them orcs. But I see black people.
so
Not once, not twice, but I believe the third time orcs have been canceled by oversensitive weirdos on Twitter.
buddy. I'm going to point this out every time. The quartering says that everyone else is oversensitive. Your claim to fame is complaining that a 16-year-old cartoon girl's boobs weren't big enough. That is your claim. Like, if we're gonna go with the oversensitivity thing, you lose your shit when two cartoon characters of the same gender identity kiss. You lose your shit, right? You tweet about two women being sexy on stage at the Super Bowl. That's what you complain about on Twitter. So like if we're gonna go with the oversensitive Twitter account, that's you, buddy. Like that's all you. You are like 100% nothing but an oversensitive Twitter account. That's your claim to fame. Okay. We made them up and we kind of use racism to do it. Yeah. That's, yeah, and I don't want to, like, yes, we made them up and they're kind of racist. And like they're not, again, not the orcs are racist. Our portrayal of what orcs are is racist, because it is based on a lot of other historical portrayals of minorities, specifically blacks, I believe. No, I don't. I think it was just we'll get there. I watched the Reanimator series yesterday. While I appreciate a good deal, I'm never watching again. Lol, forgot how disgustingly misogynistic and dehumanizing of women it is. Reanimator. I don't know that one. I mean, orcs are racist. They usually think badly of other races. They probably are. I mean, yes, and that's that kind of. You're right. You're right. So that's also the difference here, right? There's a orcs are racist a lot. Orcs are portrayed as racist a lot of the time. Like they are racist against the other races in their whatever, they're fantasy, right? Elves are also portrayed as being rather racist and snotty white people. Which again, like it comes from a stereotype, like the way that we have created elves are from a stereotype of white people, which is that they're kind of racist and 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 are snooty little assholes about everything, right? And understanding that, right? Saying this is how we have historically portrayed these fantasy characters um is really just it's just pointing it out, right? This is the Anita Sarkeesian thing. This is the who's the there's a couple other people who've done this before. What's her name? Oh god, I forget her name already. Shoot, I forgot her name, but the other women who have pointed out, like, hey, this is how we portray things. Um and the way that we portray things come from uh stereotypes or some sort of what's the other word from it, biased perspective. And but just pointing this out makes people like the Quartering lose their shit. um just pointing out, hey, maybe your portrayal of orcs is kind of racist, makes people like the Quartering lose their shit. In the same way that everybody lost their shit when Anita Sarkeesian said things like, hey, maybe your portrayal of women is kind of sexist, and then everyone lost their shit. Me included, by the way. I was one of the losing their shits over having their favorite characters and being told, hey, your portrayal of characters is sexist. And like, yeah, I'm talking about being oversensitive Twitter users, you know, and this guy. Like, we're there. But just calling it out is very different than saying you are racist for liking them. You are misogynistic for liking them. It's just saying, hey, these are how these characters have. This is where the portrayal of these characters come from. Okay. To be on, it's just tribal peoples in general, yes, and a lot of it is tribal. A lot of it, well, and I guess we can just jump into it because we're just talking about it. Orcs, for the most part, the big one that's kind of pointed out is that orcs, and I don't know if it's in the newest, if it's in D&D 5e or not, but orcs are pretty much like, um, they are evil, and even if you so they take like the nature versus nurture thing, and they say orcs are evil, and if you take them and you put them in and you try to civilize them, they're still gonna have a savageness in them that you can't civilize out of them. There will always be savages. And this is pretty much how a lot of colonizers, I guess, portrayed the rest of the world. This is the excuse that that was made for why we're going to take over Native American reservations, why we're going to we're going to civilize them. This was the excuse for slavery and things like that. Like, we're gonna take these uncivilized people, we're gonna civilize them, but we got to remember that on the inside they're still savages. And this was rhetoric that existed in the real world, which is why fantasy reflects the real world a lot of the time. Which is why it appears in these books that we have orcs being portrayed as the savages in the same way that black people used to be portrayed. And to be fair, in a lot of even a lot of culture now are still portrayed as like, as you can't what can you say, you can take you can take the savage out of the whatever. God, I'm terrible at this. You can take the savage out, but you can't take the savage out of the person. So it's case in point, Bright. I never saw Bright, but that's probably it. So yeah, it's just these are stereotypes that are built into orcs, even to this day. They're built into orcs. Is this a problem? Arguably yes. Arguably no. I think you could sit down and argue of whether it is a problem or not. It really depends, I think, on how you're using the literature. Like, I think building orcs this way in order to point out that this is a terrible way of thinking. So you have whatever a D&D world where everyone thinks of orcs this way, but through your campaign or whatever, you find out, hey, orcs aren't actually this way. This is just the way that the humans in my D&D world think of orcs, but orcs aren't really like that. Like orcs aren't really savages, but the humans in my world have been for centuries now been told that this is what orcs are, and so we have humans who are constantly expanding into orc settlements, and they're trying to civilize the orcs. And I think you could definitely, like, if you do this kind of portrayal of orcs, you could turn it into a commentary on colonization and things like that. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's something that we should be aware of, which is what like literary criticism is that understanding that this is the way, that this is the way that portrayal, this is where this portrayal comes from. Okay. There's a lot of Viking stereotypes and orcs as well. Gamergate was a low point in a lot of people's lives. Yeah. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Yeah, or tropes don't spring out of the ground. Yes. No, we don't have to. Oh, what did y'all? I mean, we have movies where you fuck the fish person now. Oh yeah. Somebody fucked the fish person. Humans don't need to interact with these tropes in the same way we used to. Yep. In standard even D, they were created. Their god made them that way. Yeah. Which I think can I think even saying like it's not their fault and it's their god is still kind of pushing, like the point is that it's like this, like the nature versus nurture thing where it's their nature to be evil. And they're, orcs aren't the only races. I think kobolds are also portrayed as like what is it, lawful evil for the most part. Like they're just kind of evil creatures, and there's a lot of creatures in D&D. I think sort of the alignment system, you could argue the alignment system in D&D is a little bit too simplistic to convey a lot of the more complex human things and portraying as every these creatures are evil versus these creatures are good or neutral or whatever is in and of itself a little bit too much of an oversimplification. You can make orcs evil, but you can make them evil by circumstance. A circumstance they can in fact be liberated from. Yeah. Yeah, you can, right? Like in the same way that the real world works, that you have people who act in evil ways because they were raised that way, thought that way, whatever. They lived in a place where those were the stereotypes that were taught. But that doesn't, like, as much as I complain about white people, I don't genuinely think that like all white people are evil or anything near that, right? But I also do understand that a lot of white people get not indoctrinated. That's not the right word. Just get you grow up with these stereotypes of other people and you end up acting on them. So it's all just a thing. In the Middle Earth series games, the orcs are evil, but at the same time, it suggests that they are evil because Mordor is deadly and they spend most of their time ruled by Dark Lords. So, yeah, and I'm sure that there are other portrayals. I don't know all the Tolkien things. This is, I think, specifically talking about D&D, which I know that the orcs come from Tolkien or whatever. But the particular complaint that the quartering is talking about comes from somebody pointing it out in D&D lore. So let's listen to a little bit more of this, and then we can move on.
I woke up this morning. It's Sunday. I film. Little behind the scenes fact. I film ahead of time. I'm getting that Wayne's World thing. I got to do that, like comb back behind your hat now. I film the day before when I can, so that Mondays, my day job is very busy, and I have to do that most of the day, and it's stressful to have to film and do that. So, now you know. Nonetheless, orcs are canceled for being problematic, I guess.
So again, entirely misses the point of what is going to be said. So
here we go. CW. I don't know. Is that a content warning? I'm not exactly sure. Blatant racism. I am in genuine awe.
I'm gonna make the joke about the fact that the quartering just used a hard R. Just gonna put that out there for him. Yeah, quarterings and still your Muppet. He looks his little sideburns and extra beardy hair make him look like a Muppet. Everyone's films ahead of time, otherwise it's a stream. It's true. Imagine that. Just so you all know, I have filmed my videos that I release. I have filmed them in the past. Just I know some behind the scenes things. They are not filmed right now. They were filmed in the past. More like a Wookiee. How does he not know CW? He probably does. Honestly, he probably does. I think a lot of, not gonna lie, I think at least 70% of the quartering is a character, right? I think it's mostly him. He's going to pretend like he doesn't know what this is, so that because otherwise he'll come off as like understanding SJW lingo, and that's a no-no, right? You can't be understanding the way that other people communicate. That'd be a no-no. You'd be going outside of your circle. I film my stuff in the future and then try and travel back in time to release them. You don't film anything, Micro. Sorry, that was mean, but also true. Okay, a little bit more. And he said something.
That this stuff came out for this edition of D&D. Holy spaghettis! Well, look, I've been involved in the D&D community and Magic the Gathering community and board gaming for a very long time. And
no, you haven't. You got kicked out of those because you were fucking harassed women. Glass houses. I have a video coming out, so no. I know, though. To be honest, D&D and its insistence on anything just being inherently evil or good is kind of annoying. Yes, like I said earlier, I think the alignment system is a little silly, and oversimplistic. I get it. I get it. Like D&D has to come up with has to work it, like it has to, what's the word I'm wording? It has to simulate real life. Like it just does. Like it just has to simulate real life, right? So there are rules about like climbing shit and crawling over stuff and walking around and how tired you get and how how dark things are, and there's all these rules for this stuff. And those rules have to exist in a super simplified way to be able to do the processing involved in playing the game. You can't run a physics. You could potentially run a physics engine in D&D, right? Like you could sit there and do the math. Okay, you're throwing it with this much force, an object that's this heavy with this much force at this angle. How far will it get? And you could sit there and do the math and figure it all out. At the end of the day, that shit's boring, so you're not going to do that. So you have to do oversimplifications. So I understand it. It's still bad, and I think especially when it comes to morality and that kind of stuff, I think you could either get rid of it, or have somewhere just be like, this is very much so like a super oversimplification of the morality of D&D, the alignment system. But that's what happens when you try to get complex things and make rules around them. But yeah, you could change it. It is a good starting point. I could see that. It's a good starting point. I could see it being a good starting point. Of course, the problem is that, how much you stick to the rules is up to the people playing it. Some people like to stick to the rules very much so, and others like, if you haven't, you should watch me DM games on Wednesday nights at Christy Winters' channel. Because I think I'm awesome at it, and you all should do it. Now let's go over fucking thing. Let's go over here. We are going to. I'm going to plug Christy Winters' channel. If nothing else, because R&D is there. So if you don't want to, like do anything else with that, that's fine. But definitely go check out my streams on there, because I DM them no, go away. I DM them every Wednesday, and you all should go check it out, because you should. Because you should, and for no other reason. Whoopsie daisy. Here are Christy Winters' thing. Boom. There you go. Go check out that was the that was last Wednesday's D&D stream. Microblogganism is in it. I'm in it. I'm the DM, and Christy Winters is one of the players. Christiosity is the other player, and Jess is the other one. Oh my god, I'm only just now noticing the third R. There's a third. Oh, did I fix it? I did. I forgot that I fixed it. It's fixed. It is fixed. I'll have to unfix it now. Oh god. Yes, so Forgotten Realms was it, or just one of the D&D settings or not? I think it's a setting. I have to fix it back to being broken. I don't know why it got fixed. I don't think I fixed it on purpose. I can't imagine that I fixed it on purpose. I think I fixed it by mistake. I think what happened was I was I think I told you my computer crashed. Not like something was like the hard drive got corrupted, so I had to run it off an external hard drive while I got it fixed. Once I fixed it, I think I was using I couldn't find the correct thing, so I just got fixed. That's all. It's fine. Fix my mistake is a very fucking sentence. Fix my mistake, yes. I was wrong. I was right by accident. All right, quartering. A little bit more of this nonsense.
And the reality is, there is a significant portion of.
Shut up! I don't want to listen to you. Okay. This is the thing that's to do. Okay. This is the part that actually appears. I think that's 5th edition. Yeah, this edition. So this is 5th edition, and I don't know what book that's from. I'd have to figure out what book orcs are in. But so it says most orcs have been indoctrinated into a life of destruction and slaughter. But unlike creatures who their very nature are evil, such as gnolls, it is possible that an orc is raised outside its culture could develop limited capacity for empathy, love, and compassion. No matter how domesticated an orc might seem, its bloodlust flows just beneath the surface. With its instinctive love for battle and its desire to prove its strength, an orc trying to live within the confines of civilization is faced with a difficult task. So again, that is the part. Also, fuck gnolls, I guess. Yeah, fuck gnolls. They're just evil. Fixed by mistake is something I just need to remember in perpetuity, probably. So yes. So why is that a problem? Again, like I kind of explained already, it's a problem because this was the thinking, the excuses, and the rationale that people used colonize and to colonize other people, to take people. This is what you and still today, which is why I don't know why I say people used to, because people still use this today, right? Or I've seen it fairly recently, where when you talk about things like slavery and things like that, one of the things that you say to yourself, if you don't want to feel like a horrible person for having a slave, is I took this child or this person from an uncivilized, savage place, and we're gonna civilize them, but at the end of the day, it's within their nature to still be uncivilized. And that was and still is used as an excuse for a lot of bigotry today. It is used as an excuse to not just stereotype, but genuinely do harm to a lot of minorities. It's I want to remember who said this before, but I have heard it. I want to say Crowder because this sounds like a Crowder thing, about how slavery was like living in slavery was better for blacks than living in slavery in a civilized place was better for blacks than living in savagery in whatever, in Africa. And that's the kind of shit that is used to excuse things like slavery, to excuse things like bigotry. Is you say that kind of shit, right? And it's still shit that's said today. It's not like this stopped being said or stopped being as using as excuse, in the '60s or whatever. Like this is still used today to excuse why, like slavery, why it's okay that we had slaves, or at least it's not that bad. Like slavery wasn't that bad, guys. Kind of deal, which is used a lot, right? When you point out things like slavery, it's like, oh, it wasn't that bad. Um, it's and so that's the part that's being pointed out, which the quartering is entirely going to ignore. Which also coincidentally doesn't actually bother to read what the description is, but that is the part that people are having a problem with. Is that description of orcs that uses the same kind of language and the same kind of the same kind of language that was used uh, and is used for marginalized groups today. Uh, okay. If we try good and hard, these orcs, they realize murder is bad, but they still have a hard time not doing the murder. Orcs aren't real. Stop using shortcuts in game designs as an outrage about real behavior. That's fucking stupid. Oh, the text from Volas. Orcs aren't real. You're right, orcs aren't real. And like I said, like this isn't like this is just literature review. Oh, not literature review, that's the right one. Like it's just a critical analysis of literature, right? Like this is literature, the little description, right? Yes, orcs aren't real. Uh but it's like the whole point is we can use our critical thinking to figure out like where do these kinds of descriptions come from, right? This shit doesn't come out of nowhere. Descriptions like this they don't just pop into existence from the void, right? They come from somewhere. This is what you do in pretty much all literature review. Is you try one of the things you can do is figure out where this kind of thing might have come from, right? Why does the author write about this character in this particular way? So you can look at it from a historical point of view and say, hey, this author or this author lived in whatever era. So what I'm trying to think of a trying to think of a good example here. But it's failing me. Oh god, what's her name? Not her name, his name. I read it for my last class. It's about this girl who's kind of she's an American girl, goes to Europe, is pretty much kind of scandalously scandalous. It was written in the 1920s. So she like goes around and goes on walks with other men and stuff. And eventually she's found like, I don't even think like doing anything too scandalous, but like being on walks and stuff with other men, and she ends up getting sick and dying. That's kind of the spoiler alert to this book. I don't even remember the title of. And she ends up dying. So this is usually this book can be seen from a historical perspective. Like why do we have this portrayal of women this way? Like why does this portrayal of women exist in this book? And one of the ways that you can look at it is say, historically in the 1920s, women were not expected to go out with multiple men, to go on walks, right, with men and be, so liberated. And so at the end of the book, she is punished. And for her progressive, I don't know if it's progressive, the progressiveness of the whole thing, right? Like I don't her attitude. So she gets punished for it. And we can see that by looking at the historical context. Same thing with like just pretty much anything, right? Like portrayals of blacks in Mark Twain's books, right? We can see this, and this is one approach to literature. D&D at the end of the day is literature, and it's got literature in it, right? There's these descriptions. So that's all we're doing. We're just being critical of the text from more than just a superficial, like, reading it and saying, oh, that's cool, but trying to understand where did this portrayal come from, right? Like, where did this where did this come from? Where because it didn't come out of nowhere. Evil paladins are in the game. They are. Next, we can get, how can paladins be lawful good? They clearly are designed after the Knights Templar, who were raping, pillaging monsters, though, all the way through Crusades. And next, you do not have any game to play. Evil paladins are, and so the thing is here, like, nobody's saying don't. I don't think anybody is. And I could be wrong because there's lots of people in the internet. I don't think anyone's saying don't play Dungeons and Dragons. I don't think anyone's saying you're not allowed to play an orc in Dungeons and Dragons, right? You're not allowed to role play an orc in Dungeons and Dragons, or you're not allowed to play this game anymore because it has this problematic content in it. I don't think anyone's saying that. Maybe somebody is. Somebody on the internet probably is. I wouldn't be surprised if someone on the internet is. But at least in these tweet and the people who were having this conversation with the quartering aren't. I'm not saying you can't. Again, the point is we're trying to point out where these come from. They don't come out of nowhere. That really is the point. These ideas don't come out of nowhere. They come from history, our personal experience, our psychology. They come from so much. They don't just exist. Books don't exist in a vacuum. So you can still play D&D. I don't think anyone's gonna be mad at you for playing D&D. I think, especially, like, D&D can be played in so many ways, right? Like, if you want to have, and it probably exists. Again, this probably exists somewhere. If you want to have an extremely, like, conservative D&D game where like the whatever, the elves or the humans or whatever, or like the superior ones, and they're working hard to get rid of all the other races, and you want to play that game, there's really nothing stopping you from doing that. This is what you do in the privacy of your home. I'm sure you can probably find a DM who'd be willing to run that game for you, who'd be willing to be like, yeah, let's run a extremely racist, sexist version of the game. Where, we're gonna if you play a female character, we're gonna give you a debuff to all of your stats or whatever, right? Or your strength stat. You females get a -2 to strength, and male characters get a +2 to strength, and come up with whatever rules you want to that align with your own viewpoints of what you think the world is. You could probably find that game and run that game if you wanted to. It's no one's saying you can't do that. What we're saying is you got to understand where do these ideas come from when you think that's how you should be running the game. That's like, where do you get that? But as the problem, R&D, it is the game. It is not manual how to live life. The bad things are never a problem, is they are meant to be casual players needing rudimentary things to shove around on game night. It is not a deep philosophy about cosmos. If you treat it like that, you can create those problems from nothing. Minus your grumbles and kobold. So I mean, when you apply your philosophy, you can apply philosophy to anything, right? You can one of a great YouTube channel, Wisecrack. The big great YouTube channel, Wisecrack, pretty much does that. They'll take just about any subject in either the real world or book or movie or whatever, and they'll apply philosophy to it and see what comes out of it. That's pretty much like all of literature. Like, that's how you approach literature, is you say, here's a book, let me take a philosophy or a theory and apply it to this book and see what comes out, right? If you don't want to do it, if you just want to read, you just want to read a book for funsies, you just want to read Harry Potter for reading Harry Potter's sake, and because it's a good read and you enjoy it, then that, good for you, go for it. Like, there's nothing wrong with just enjoying things, but at the same time, there's nothing wrong to saying, hey, let's look at Harry Potter from a a Marxist viewpoint, and how does the I wake up late and you're watching an unshaven Yeti. Yes. So you can, how do we apply Marxist theory to whatever, Harry Potter? You can do that. It's not gonna hurt anybody. Like, it doesn't do anything. It's just it's you can do it. It's not gonna hurt anybody if you're right. It's not gonna hurt anyone if you're wrong. It's something that happens. You can take, how do we apply feminist theory to Harry Potter, or how do we apply feminist theory to Ender's Game, right? You can do all these. This is literature. This is how literature always works. And probably always will work, is you take a book and you find a way to apply a philosophy to it. See what you get at the end of the day. And sometimes you get something interesting and fun that other people like to read about and study up about. And sometimes you get things that are just kind of controversial and weird, and sometimes you get nonsense. There's no right answer, kind of rightish answers, to how you interpret literature, and that's really what this is. This is just, how do you interpret the literature of D&D? The literature of, at least this short clip from Volos, is, it probably comes from, and I would agree, it probably comes from the mentality that has been used to tribal races. That's a weird way to say that. To what were considered tribal savage races by colonizers. This post-colonial theory all over the place on that nonsense. Rhetoric&Discourse, but it is apply philosophy to it, or is it force philosophy to integrate to it onto it? Is it, okay, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to reread this one. Is it apply philosophy to it, or is it force a philosophy not integral to it onto it? So there's one of the things that happens in literature that is always kind of debatable is when you say you read a book, right? Or say you read Harry Potter. Part of the problem is, what is, author's intent? What did the author actually intend by their use of words, right? Did they actually have an intent behind those words? And there is a way to study literature from an authoritarian, there's a word for it, intent, from an intent point of view. You could definitely approach literature that way. You can definitely approach literature in this, what did the author mean kind of way. Another way to look at it is that we as people make a lot of decisions and say a lot of things that we don't necessarily know why we did or said those. This, like, a lot of our lives, we don't necessarily know why, which is why I don't personally prefer that kind of analysis of literature, because I don't see humans as necessarily things that know why we do things. We can English is getting a crack out of his English major. This is like the only time I get to use my English major. Is that we don't necessarily know why we do things, so to try to read a book or a piece of literature from, like, why did the author say this, kind of contradicts a lot of what I think we can do as humans. I don't think we can necessarily know exactly why we said everything, which is why we do things like historical or psychological analysis of of literature, where you try to figure out not necessarily what the author intended, but what comes out of the book from reading it from, like, a historical perspective, right? It's you can I personally don't like intent, authorial intent in books, like trying to analyze books that way, or literature that way. I prefer, why did this author write it from a historical point, which is still not my favorite way of analyzing books, but why did they interpret it from a psychological point of view? If you've ever read, God, what is it, Yellow Wallpaper, read Yellow Wallpaper and talk to any English major about Yellow Wallpaper, and they will each have a different interpretation of what that book means. This is honestly true about just about any piece of literature, not just Yellow Wallpaper. Is, take any piece of literature, have a bunch of people, not even just English majors, have a bunch of people read it, and then each tell you what they thought the book was about, and you will get very different interpretations of it, because readers put in their own biases into book, and we all have biases, so we all put them in, right? Whatever century we grew up, whatever, we put in our own biases into are reading. And then on top of that, we have the fact that we don't really know why the book was written. So going back to that, God, what is the name of that book? I'm gonna have to pull it up. It's in my it's on my laptop because I had to read it for the last semester, and I just can't remember the name of the book at the moment. Um, but one of the things that happened, the book that I was talking about the scandalous lady going on walks with all these men in the 1920s. While we were talking about this book, one of the why I keep putting walks in quotations is one of my classmates brought up something around the lines of oh, she's going around sleeping around with all these men, and the professor and I think a couple of the students kind of stopped and said, like, no, she's not sleeping around. This book was written in the 1920s. She's not sleeping around with anybody. She's not having sex with anybody. Like, I think there's definitely some sexual overtones to her walking around, but her walking around is literally walking around with other men, but that in and of itself is scandalous. She brought in her own biases from living in 2020 and understanding that women have the freedom to be able to just have sex and sleep with anyone they want, and took that into the 1920s where that's not the case. So we can ourselves put in our own biases. There's the biases of the writers. There's and all of these biases are like they're historical, they're cultural. We don't so we look at literature and say, hey, where did this author's bias come from? And when it comes to the orcs in this particular one, is where did this bias towards against orcs and this nature of orcs come from? And it comes from real world examples. Again, nobody I think the problem is people think people are upset about this. Like, people aren't upset. Like, they're annoyed, but I don't think people are upset like don't play D&D. It's just it's being pointed out. I don't think anyone's like angry or anyone's like in tears about it or anything like that. It's just, hey, understand that this is where this comes from in the real world. It comes from genuine racism in the real world. Oof. Okay, that was a lot of talking. Yes, English major has been used at least once this year, so $40,000 well spent. This is why I drink. Okay. Well, listen to a little bit more of this guy. Also, I talked about philosophy. Which is rare. Which I hate. Also, philosophy is a waste of time. If I haven't said that today.
Kind of your, how do I say, unhinged lunatics that play. I mean, just look what happened to me at Gen Con just a few years ago.
Which we'll talk about. Unhinged lunatics. So, the person who's actually also it's being pointed out because 5e is generally really good about that. That's also true. Okay. What was I gonna say? We're gonna talk about what was done to you at Gen Con just a few years ago. So the one who's really upset, right? Like the one who is really losing their shit over this is the quartering, right? These unhinged lunatics, these I can't, these all these crazies out there who are doing this. The one who's expressing the outrage here is the quartering, right? It ain't me. I think the lady who wrote the tweet is probably annoyed, but not. I don't think to the outrage of like, oh, all of you who play D&D are racist, or you all are lunatics for taking, reading D&D books or whatever. Like, she's not the one saying that. That's the quarter. And the quarter is the one who's actually like, oh, unhinged lunatics. All of them are unhinged. I hate Pottermore. It has done nothing but destroy her characters one text at a time. I haven't. Which one's Pottermore? I have no idea. I too much. I brought up Harry Potter. That's bad. Okay, so yes, it's also being thrown out because 5e is generally good about doing this stuff. Yes, 5e has sentences about how pretty much like in the stat blocks when you create a character, there's lines about how in character creation how like the gender of your if your character doesn't matter, things like it's for stats. Like I said, like I was making the example earlier about like making a super bigoted D&D game where like um if you played a female character, you had to take like a dump into your stats kind of deal. Like they very much so say like no, that's not, that doesn't matter if you what gender you play or whatever. You can be they also say things like it doesn't matter what gender you are. Like there's you or if you identify with a gender, like they're very D&D 5e is very good for the most part about a lot of this stuff. I think just look at tieflings are a really good example because in D&D lore tieflings are like they are very often seen as evil. They look like devils, so they're often seen as like, oh, they're obviously evil, they have horns, right? And everyone's like, or not, the book's like that's not really true. Like tieflings are just like everyone else. They some are bad, some are good, it doesn't matter. It's just a matter of like um of but people have this bias against them because of their horns. And so it's very good about like saying those kinds of things like, hey, the way you look outside on the outside might mean that you're treated differently, but that doesn't actually mean that you are different. It just means that you are treated differently. um and they, I think they even have things about how like different races get treated in different places. In our game that we're playing, we're going to a drow city in the near future. And uh like drow are extremely racist. But again, that's not saying that like you can't there's a difference between saying like people act this way and people like but there's like actual good reason for that. That's kind of the problem with the orc things is like, yeah, the drow are kind of racist, but that doesn't mean that their racism is valid, I suppose. Which, unlike the orc racism, is like, yeah, no, everyone's kind of racist towards orcs, but the racism is valid because they have savage blood inside. Whew. Okay. Like if you treat us like monsters regardless of what we do, we can at least have fun being monsters. Yeah. I mean, Dumbledore being gay and not being relevant to the original books is fine. Saying he had a thing with Grindelwald and then making a movie about Grindelwald and not addressing it at all. I'm assuming that's yeah, movie stuff. I don't know. I haven't kept up with it. I didn't watch the second movie. The second what's it called? Monster movie. Harry Potter monster movie. I didn't see the second one, so I have no idea. Our middle class striver kind of racist shit has been there all along. Just people didn't want to see it, including me. Sorry, she turfed again yesterday. I'm mad. Oh, did she turf again? Yes. Also, and again, back to literature. I love this part. Back to literature. Author's intent is also kind of weird. Um, J.K. Rowling, big ass turf, like fucking transphobic B word. I hate using that, but like super transphobic all the time. uh uh oh, slavery does exist. It is kind of thing. Disaster fantasy is okay. I see. Yeah, J.K. Rowling, entirely a bigot. Like turf all the way. Um so and that brings up a lot of our authorial intent. That's the word. I figured it out eventually. Authorial intent in things. So for example, one of my favorite authors of all time, and it pisses me off that's one of my favorite authors of all time, is Orson Scott Card, who wrote Ender's Game and Ender's Shadow and that whole thing. And that in specifically in the Ender series, it's either Speaker of the Dead or Xenocide, one of the two books. After one of the two sequels for Ender's Game, they pretty much spoiler alerts for like a 40-year-old book. They go into space and they find a new race of alien things that are friendly. And at the end of the day, the whole book is kind of about how this tribe of sentient creatures are misunderstood, and it's because people aren't taking the time to really sit and understand them, and they're just jumping to conclusions, and there's a lot of prejudice, and it's unnecessary, and it's all really just a misunderstanding, is what it all boils down to. Orson Scott Card is probably one of the biggest homophobes out there, like extremely homophobic, and yet somehow writes books about how we need to not jump to conclusions when judging people, and that just because we see people behave in ways that are different than ours doesn't mean that those people are evil. That's like his thesis for I want to say it's either Speaker of the Dead. I think that's like pretty much his thesis for Speaker of the Dead. And yet in real life, he's a fucking homophobe who does the very same thing that his characters do in the book. Is it Xenocide? One of those two. That acts exactly like his characters in the book before they go through their arc. Authorial intent is kind of weird because you can have people who have a lot of internalized bias and yet can write things that don't show that internalized bias. Again, Orson Scott Card I think is probably one of my best examples of that. Orson Scott Card up through Ender's Shadow. I read everything, loved Homecoming, being a Mormon at the time. Oh yeah. But I couldn't read any other word after it became such a public asshole. Yeah, it's definitely one of those that I highly recommend. Orson Scott Card. Go find his books in a used bookstore so he doesn't get any royalties because he's a fucking asshole. Like, do not buy a new book. He does not deserve your money. He's a fucking asshole. But again, authorial intent doesn't matter because sometimes you can have bigots who write really good stuff about not being a bigot. It's weird. People are weird. We talked about slavery. Is shite. Read his Album Maker series. Oh yeah, Album Maker series is really good. I really like that too. I do like the Album Maker series. That was a good one too. I think I'm trying to that one's been a while since I read that one. If there's any particular theme that kind of contradicts him. It's really good. I definitely would suggest a lot of his books. Just be careful. I wish I had people to play D&D with because I know way too much about it not to play it. Jelly, go and yeah, you can find a group. Also, I don't know. You can always jump in with R&Ds, I guess. Depending on time, Jelly, send me a message on the things you have contact with me on something or another. If you want to play D&D, I'm sure we can find a spot for you. I'd be more than willing to have extra players. And I think that shit's fun. I'd have to ask the rest of the group about extra players, but yeah, send me a message on Discord. I will chat it up with the other peeps and see if they'd be cool with having a new player show up because that'd be cool. Okie dokie. What else we got? Go enjoy paintings of Hitler. My games start late. Oh, okay. Otherwise, yes, go on Discord. Discord you can just find not Discord, Roll20, but all right. So with all of that said, we're just way off topic. We talked about this has been a good video. I like this. We get to talk. I get to use my English major and talk about books I love. It's great.
There are absolutely a lot of really, 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 really bizarre people. And for the most part, you just love them. We all love each other in the gaming community. In particular, board games and trading card games, I think the brotherhood or sisterhood goes even further than in video games. But anyway, let's see what the D&D manual had to say. Role-playing an orc. Most orcs have been indoctrinated into a life of destruction and slaughter. But unlike creatures who their very nature are evil, such as gnolls, it's possible that an orc, if raised outside its culture, could develop a limited capacity for empathy, love, and compassion. I don't know about you, but all I can think about is black people. Am I right?
I mean, honestly, that's probably exactly what you that's not from the man. I know he doesn't know. I got blocked by Blair White on Twitter while watching this. I think it's going to be a good. Oh, that's fantastic! Congratulations. I wish he would block me. Oh fuck. Who was it? I was watching Vadim's video on Ariel's score, whatever the fuck her name is, Corselli. And he had clips of Ariel with what's her face? Not Blair White, the other skinny white lady. Oh, who plagiarized shit like back in the day, big atheist lady. Oh fuck, what's her name? She plagiarized like back when gay marriage was in the courts in the States. She plagiarized like a video, like a couple of videos. That's the last time I remember about her. Jacqueline Glenn. There we go. I eventually got. She had like it was Jacqueline Glenn and Ariel's score, whatever the fuck her name is. Talking about the left, and God, talk about two people who I extremely dislike. The reason that I remember this is Jacqueline Glenn and Blair White are like besties, which is just the saddest thing in the world. I came in late. What's the video? Is it pro, anti, rabbit, SJW? What? It's the quartering. It's the quartering. The quartering is the guy who complains that Chiro's tits aren't big enough in the new show, because apparently he thinks that 16-year-old girls need to have giant tits in order for him to be able to like the show. Cartoon girls, by the way. And he's somebody posted the tweet on the screen, and he's upset about it. So we're talking about that. So yes. The quartering, I know you don't know because you pretend to be part of these groups, but this is not from this isn't from the PHP, this isn't from the EM's guide, this is from Volo's monster. Volo's guide or whatever. So that got pointed out, and I feel like clarifying. So yes, no, okay. So again, the problem isn't God, I can't believe this has to be explained to you. The problem isn't that the problem isn't that we think that orcs are blacks. Like, that's not what we think, right? The problem is that the way that orcs are portrayed, or the same way that racist individuals, and again, still to this day, portray blacks. It's the same kind of language, it's the same kind of rhetoric. And that's what's being pointed out to you. You are too dense to understand this, so I guess I understand why this might be difficult for you, but that really is it. It's just this is the kind of language that is still used today to shit on marginalized groups. Not just blacks, like that's one group, but it's been used to what's the other one? To excuse colonization and things like that. Don't mind me, I'm just making deliberately wrong spellings of her name. Ariel is so Ariel's the worst. I can't fucking Ariel. I can't believe people take her seriously. Fucking conservatives. I'm sorry. Fucking conservatives. I swear to God, you are so dumb that the moment that somebody, like, to grift for you is so fucking easy, because all you gotta say is be like, I used to be part of the left, and now I think the SJWs, ha ha ha, attack helicopter joke, ha ha ha, give me money, and you do. Like, you give them, you believe them and you give them money, because you don't, like, all you want is you want minorities to spew the garbage that you want to say, and that's all you need to like them. That's it. Like, that's all you need. She is grifting her own. Like, Dave Rubin, Blair White, and Ariel are like are all really, like, the problem with them isn't just that they're grifting for the right. That sucks. The problem is they are grifting. What they're doing is that they're hurting their own. Like, these people hate them. They like them right now because I wouldn't even say like them. They tolerate them right now because they're useful. But, like, these people hate them. These people want to take away their rights. If these people had their way, if these conservatives had their way, they would make Blair White take off her pants before she went into a women's bathroom every goddamn time to make sure she had the right genitals. And that's what Blair White is fucking pushing for. That's what she's grifting for people to have the right to be able to do that to her. Same thing with Ariel. That's what, she and Dave Rubin, like they're both pushing for people to have the right to discriminate against them, for people to say, "Oh, you're gay, I have the right to fire you. Oh, you're gay, I have the right not to serve you at my restaurant." That's what they're pushing for while they are gay. Like, they are both, yeah, they are definitely digging their own graves, and it's infuriating. Can I pretend to do transition? I'm broke. I am sure if you came out, and said, I thought that I was a woman, but I changed my mind, that the right would absolutely love you. And then you'd have to deal with your gender dysphoria forever, and I'm sorry about that. But hey, on the bright side, you could be on Dave Rubin's show. Oh God. So like Beta, Jesse Lee Peterson. Yes, Jesse Lee Peterson. Exactly the same kind of dealio. Also digging his own grave. And Blair does not have the right genitals. She's open about not getting surgery, which is fucking hypocritical. It is fucking hypocritical, considering how often she shits on people for not passing enough or not transitioning enough. But and again, like, I don't care. I think she can have whatever genitals she wants. I personally do not care. The problem is that she cares what other people's genitals are, but then gets mad when people care about what hers are. Her Dave Rubin appearance with Candace Owens is a perfect example of that, about how often she shuts on people for wanting something as basic as like their preferred pronouns to be used. How often she shits on that idea. But during that whole interview, Candace Owens misgendered her like consistently, because Candace Owens is a fucking bigot. And Blair White got really mad about that. And I'm like, why? Why are you have been giving the right the green light to be able to do this? Why are you mad when it's being done to you? Like, you shouldn't be. This is what you asked for. Being misgendered is what you wanted to happen to you, Blair. That's what you've been advocating for. Oh gosh. What's it? Diamond and Silver are also bad. The right lost their mind when one activist says some anonymous teens wanted to detransition. It's true. She mostly cared about how other trans people look. It's true. Oh yeah, Candace, or what's the other two? Diamond and Silk. I think Diamond and Silk might have gotten fired from their jobs because nobody cares about them. I think their ratings have dropped, so I don't think they have any conservative money or less conservative money going towards them. But R&D, Bear looks like a real woman. She is better than the other trans people. That is, God, I know what you mean. God, that is such a terrible thing to say. Fucking Blair. And I know you don't mean it, Micro, but goddamn. Fucking Blair White. Because you're right. That is exactly her whole thing is, you better be trying to look like a real woman or a real man, whatever the fuck that means. Or whatever, or if you get misgendered, or if you get harassed, or if you have people treat you terribly because of the way you look, then it's your own fault for not trying hard enough. Which I think is something she said. I don't think I'm making that up. I think that's something one of her stanzas. If it's your own fault for not trying hard enough, because Blair White's a fucking bigot. If you don't look manly enough or womanly enough, people can misgender others in Blair's eyes. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna scoot and get out of the beer and listen to a little bit more of this guy.
Am I right? My I think I have about 2% black subscribers, so I'm sorry. I'm thinking of you now more than ever because I'm reading about.
I'm sorry. 2%. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think he understands how funny that is. That he only has 2% like I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. I think that says a lot about you. I also wouldn't be surprised if you have about if not a lower percentage of female subscribers. Oh. Look at my black there. No, he's not black. He said, "Look at my African American." That was the quote. Look at my African American over there. Fucking A. I bet the quartering has some black friends. Oh gosh. Okay. I wouldn't pass if I could see me at this moment. Had to be taken off of hormones recently. I'm still twice the woman she is. Oh yeah, no, definitely. Oh, I hope you'll be able to get back on hormones soon. That'd be. I know you talked to. I think you let us know that your surgery was delayed, which I'm so sorry about. That sucks. Hopefully things will get back to normal and you can get all that shit taken care of because important. He has at least photos with his black friends. What's what was the two MAGA white people who had like blacks for Trump, and there was like this like boomer white couple with like blacks for white on their t-shirts. Just fucking up. Oh god. I'm sorry, I know most of you are white, but fucking white people, I swear. you all just oof. I don't actually hate white people. I think you guys. I have a white friend, and I married her. I can't be racist. Oh god. Oh, this show makes me a terrible person. Chrissy, you're one of the people that made me realize I was finally getting over internalized transphobia. I look at you and never seen anybody but a woman. Aw. He just hates me. I do just hate micro. It's not a white thing. that's a gelatinous cube thing. You should figure out a way to make a gelatinous cube like character in D&D. Like your decks would suck, but I'm pretty sure you could figure out a way to stat that, and you can just be a gelatinous cube in D&D. Maybe you can have like a little kobold or like goblin translator or something like around. That'd be great. Like just like a little kobold to translate for you, or a little pixie or something that walks around with you. You can be carted around. Oh, that's what you should do. Play a gelatinous cube who has to ride in a cart that's being pulled by like a couple of kobolds. And then you can play the character, but you'd have to have someone to talk to you. There's a homebrew. I'm sure there is. You probably wouldn't have to homebrew too much. It's just, you know, you probably wouldn't have to homebrew too much of it. I can imagine, but you should. That'd be a great character play. I would love to see you play a gelatinous cube, Micro. I think that'd be great. There are homebrews for everything. Even watching old performance videos of you, you look like you were trying to pretend to be a man, but still generally saw a woman, and that made me happy. Aw, little the love in this chat. Go chat. Way to go, chat. You're all the best. Yeah, we should. You could be the pixie. That would be a great. You all make that stat, and you all should play together. That'd be great. Okay. I don't even remember what he said. He's got a black friend. Yes, Jeremy's got a black friend.
A mythical creature in a D&D book. No matter how domesticated an orc might seem, its bloodlust flows just beneath the surface. With its instinctive love of battle and its desire to prove its strength, an orc trying to live within the confines of civilization is faced with a difficult task. I couldn't think of a better metaphor for the black community, right? Isn't that what everyone thought about there? Isn't that what we were all thinking when we were reading this Dungeons and Dragons book about a mythical creature?
The thing is that I am willing to bet a substantial portion of your audience thought that. substantial portion of your audience actually was like, yeah, that sounds like black people. Like this is just, again, God, like we'd have to talk about dog whistles and shit, but like that is the problem, is that this is the way that bigots talk about not just blacks, but you know, other minorities, as I mentioned before, not just blacks, but you know, pretty anything tribal, really. This is how those groups have been talked about. This is how those groups are talked about now, right? Like whenever you talk about, whenever Black Lives Matters was a big deal, and you talked about things like systemic racism, and people would bring up like, oh, but there's more crime in black communities than there are in white communities. That's that shit right there, Jeremy. That's what they're saying. They're saying that part. They're saying the blood loss part, like that's what they're saying, and that's the problem. Same, you know, and I'm sure, I'm just turn around and in your bookcase, just pick up your copy of the Bell Curve, and read through that, and $5 says that in that Bell Curve, and I haven't even fucking read it, I just know what it is. $5 says that you will find similar language to this in your copy of the Bell Curve. Maybe you should critically read that book rather than just taking out the thesis statement. God. Love returns as soon as we stop talking about the video. It's true. I wonder if different races in D&D would have different sign languages. You know, something that was being talked about. Somebody said this. I think it was like a D&D meme Twitter that I follow. About having a bard that's a mime, and how that would be impossible because a lot of bardic spells are or have a verbal component to it. So you can't do them if you mime. One of the things that I was thinking of how to easily make that change is come up with a sign language for that bard, so that bard speaks common sign language. Well, that was CSL, right? That's what they speak. So like that's it. Viciously mimes and insults. You just mime it all out, sign language it all out. There's absolutely no reason why you cannot have a mime bard. If anyone wants to make a mime bard, do it and just have them do sign language. That's it. That's fine. I think you could do it. I think fuck the rules. The rules are meant to be broken anyway. It's just, yeah, make all the verbal components somatic components, and that's it. It's not about the meaning of the words. I don't know. It depends on how much you read it. One of the things that we noticed yesterday while we were playing D&D is that we don't, and I don't even know how many, we have a spellcaster in our party, and we were looking at components for some of her spells, and we don't really pay attention to components a lot of the times because they're kind of a pain in the ass to keep track of. The same player, it's Christy Winters' character, in my campaign has been casting Goodberry a lot. Goodberry just, it makes berries. A whole lot, and I've been kind of ignoring the fact that she probably doesn't have access to the components because, like, sometimes they're the fucking rules. Just spend them and be like, whatever, you have the components to do it, because it's way more fun to just let you have this spell than it is to sit there and be like, do you really have the one piece of mistletoe you need to cast this every day or not? Because sometimes it doesn't matter, and I think that's also true with like vocal vocal components. It's just whatever. Make them somatic, and it's fine. Read Belker when it comes out. Eyebrow raised the whole time and a lot of what the fuck. I should read the Bell Curve. I haven't. It gets brought up a lot in my psychology classes, which is a fun bit. Never in a good way does it get brought up, but it is in most of my psychology classes, it is used as a perfect example of terrible science, which I love. Like everyone's like, Bell curve, this is how you don't write and interpret data. Right here. This is how you don't experiment. Bell curve. This is how you don't interpret data. Bell curve. Which is great. It is perpetually an example of bad writing used in psychology, which is fantastic. Doesn't the manual say you don't need to follow the rules? The manual does says you don't need to follow the rules. The fun thing about D&D is you only need to care about the rules you enjoy. It's true. It is true. Speaking of which, since Micro's here, we've been playing with the rules wrong for grappling for a while now, and I know that we're playing with them wrong, but I haven't bothered to correct anybody, so I've just like homebrewed new rules for grappling, which is that we've been making grapple like an actual, like, you disable the other the grappled opponent. So when you grapple them, you disable them, because when I think of grappling somebody, like, I think of like bear hugging them or some shit, right? So you just bear hug the shit out of them. But in the rules, it's not like a bear hug. It's like a grab. And then they're grappled. They can still use all of their actions, but they can't move. And we've been not using that like that. So we've been using it as a grapple, like a thing. Yeah. So we just been kind of like, whatever. Is there a bonus if you grapple them by the? No. Yeah. So we just been playing it as like, yeah, you have them grappled. They're not gonna attack you. They're gonna sit there and try to get ungrappled and use up their actions for that, rather than just like sitting there and hitting you. Yeah, but it's fine. I know I'm doing it wrong. That's the thing. Like, I know I'm doing it wrong, but I enjoy grapple being more useful. I think it's more useful if you make it be an actual, like, you actually disable the opponent for a little bit, rather than it just being like, oh, they can't move. I think it's better. Write up your gelatinous cube. What's the other? There's another rule that's really dumb. Disarming rules are also really dumb, because, like, if you disarm somebody in D&D, they pretty much drop their weapons, and then when it comes their turn, you can just bend down and pick it up, and it's really dumb. Like, you didn't do anything. You wasted a whole turn to do nothing. And I think grapple's the same way. I think grapple's the same way. I think grapple should hug kind of dealio. But whatever. Grapple rules in my house are a whole different thing. All right, listen. Okay, so Jeremy has a black friend. Let's listen to a little bit more of this.
I mean, literally what?
Literally what?
And you can see the comments are, of course, you realize they're talking about fictional creatures, right? Here's Samante Banks. I think he follows me too. Yeah, I've seen him around. This.
Okay, that was the problem when I saw this, and I got really mad at some. I didn't get really mad, but somebody who follows me, or someone I follow, I don't know, was all like, I can't believe that people are talking about this the orcs in like post. I don't. What did she say? Marxist, like, genocide, something serious. Like, they were talking about genocide or something. Or something about that. Like, when it came to orcs. And someone was like, I can't believe they're talking about using these serious terms to talk about orcs, who are a fictional, they're fictional characters. And it's like, yeah, I don't think you understand literature, because that's literally all of literature, is you talk about fake shit in using real language. Like, that is 99% of literature right there. Is like all of critical analysis of literature is that you take fake characters, right? You take characters that are definitely not real, and you apply like real world standards to them, and then you analyze them that way. That's what it is. Again, this is the thing. Like, he thinks like this is some sort of outrage. Like, people, like, that's why they're canceled. Like, this isn't an outrage, Jeremy, you dumbass. This is people pointing out where these concepts come from. It's not about people being angry. It's not about people canceling orcs. It's not about you can't play orcs anymore. You can't have orcs in your campaign. It's about taking the real world and applying it to literature. This isn't new. God, you should have learned this in 9th grade, Jeremy. Like, you really should have learned this in 9th grade, right? Like, nobody Nobody thinks that fucking Catcher in the Rye character, where the fuck his name is. Like nobody thinks that the Catcher in the Rye character is a real character. That doesn't mean that we don't use the same like psychological analysis on that character to talk about what that book is talking about. Just because he's a fake character, like all characters are fucking fake. Holden Caulfield, thank you, Holden Caulfield. I should know that name. But like just because he's not real doesn't mean we stop ourselves from analyzing them if they were real. Because that's kind of the point of literature. Like literature reflects us. So we use real world terms and real world examples to talk about them and to talk about what they're doing. It's God, like have you never read a fucking book, Jeremy? Like read a goddamn book. Oh. Some people do think he's real, though. Good thing for a real writer woke up. God, just read a book. For fuck's sakes. Just all you gotta do is just read a book. I feel like your life would be much better. Jeremy, take a week off. Read a book during that week. And like maybe learn a thing. That'd be nice. Because like you just don't seem to understand the very basics of literary criticism. Hey, still get to use my degree. Go English degree. Fuck you, STEM. I have an English degree. My echo chamber agrees with me. It's true. If you play with Red and as your DM, it's though it's ignoring them, then forgetting they even exist. Even a comic book. Oh, I'm willing to like literature. I am very loosey goosey about my definition of literature. Like, I think great literature exists in comic books. I think great literature exists in video games. I think great literature exists in movies. I think you can pretty much look at so myths. It doesn't have to be written. Just oral traditions are great literature. I guess kind of that's really pushing the definition of literature. But yeah, you can you really can like you can take any God, you are probably one of those idiots, Jeremy, who read what's that movie Watchmen, who read Watchmen and thinks that what's his face Rorschach is like the hero. You are one of those idiots who thinks that Rorschach is the hero. You know, I just realized this. I'm gonna fix it. I bet you are one of those people. I would genuinely not be surprised if you were one of those. I'm gonna take you, drop you. Sorry, I realized this. It to be like that. Yes, we'll have Jeremy be a little bit bigger so that when I point at him. What's his face is very appropriate. Authorial intent is a funny thing. In my last novel, I wrote Chapter 3 as a critique of old wise Chinese characters in mysteries, and it accidentally came off as racist, the exact opposite intent. See, we were just talking about this shit. How authorial, I don't like authorial intent because your bias, as an author, your biases come out, or you don't like what you thought you were saying doesn't come through. So which is why I don't personally like critiquing books that way. I like critiquing books in like a psychological or historical way because I think in that way you get a more not real, but like a more concrete. Let's go with concrete. A more concrete understanding of the book rather than trying to figure out what the author meant by it, because sometimes we don't do that. I guess the word media is better than literature in that case. Probably is better. Isn't the term authorial though? I think it's authorial. I don't know. I should know, but I don't know. All right, a little bit more of Jeremy.
Is it racism? Orc with a hard R. Oh, he said it. He said it. He used the hard R.
$5 says that Jeremy uses the N-word in private, and then when he gets called out, says that he's got a black friend. $5 says Jeremy does that. The author says authorial. There we go.
Begging you to please learn how to read text. Just basic media analysis stuff.
Yes! Lady is right.
I mean...
Wait. Were you agreeing with her?
How to read text. Just basic media analysis stuff.
Okay. By the way, I think... because fucking Jeremy's an idiot. I think he read that with agreement. I'm begging you, please learn how to read text, just basic media analysis stuff. Like that. That's the original poster, you dumbass. I think you're agreeing with the original poster, but you're too dumb to understand that, and that brings me slight bit of joy. Slight bit of joy. Okay.
I mean, really? How desperate do you have to be offended by things? I mean...
Okay. Nobody... This is the problem, Jeremy. No one's offended by this. Somebody probably is, right? Like, I say no one, which is far too much of a concrete statement. But no one is offended by this. Oh, like nobody is genuinely offended by this, right? I agree with the poster. I 100% agree with the poster that that is some rather problematic content in the D&D in that D&D description of orcs. I'm not outraged. I'm not mad at the authors for it. I'm not like nobody is saying cancel orcs. The only one who's making this into a big deal is you. And now me, because I'm talking about you. But, like, that's it. Like, nobody else is making a big deal about this besides you. Desperate to be offended, Shira, tits too small guy. It's true. Buddy, you get... the Shira tits one is hilarious, but this is... I think the more easily offended is two attractive women were dancing on stage, and he got upset about that. Like, this is also that guy. this is that guy who got real offended at two attractive women dancing on stage. Oh no, women on stage. They should be in the kitchen. Ha ha ha. Fucking Jeremy. Oh god. Girls did big ass kiss an animated show. Token was Catholic. That's a difference. What? The orc looks like a Martian from John Carter. It does look like John Carter. Was Token I didn't know Token was Catholic. Does it say something else here? I don't remember that. Okay.
If we go back to 2018 and even before, really.
Was Token really racist? Okay. I gotta say this. There's a good chance that he was. Good chance that he was racist. And that's fine. Like, it's not fine that he was racist, but that's fine. Like, one, you can still enjoy his works without his racism needing to ruin them. You can still point out, hey, this shit is racist, right? Same thing. You can enjoy H.P. Lovecraft's story and the world that he created and the lore that he has done. You can still enjoy that, and H.P. Lovecraft can still be racist, and that's fine. Like, his racism isn't, but it's fine. And the say, like, I just did this. You can enjoy Orson Scott Card. You can enjoy his books. He's a fucking bigot, but you can still enjoy his books. I think they're great. Just don't give him your money because he doesn't deserve it. All the Southern people were in Sauron's army. Oh no. Oh no.
There were a lot of think pieces written calling J.R.R. Tolkien a racist. You see, in demonizing orcs, the ugly, monstrous enemy of the elves, did J.R.R. Tolkien just betray a belief that some races are worse than others? That's the debate that has been at the heart of claims that the British press recently accusing the Lord of the Rings author of harboring racist views. That's right.
God damn. Jeremy, you're an idiot. And it's a very important factor in Lord of the Ring Lyrian analysis. I've never read Lord of the Rings, so that's probably why I don't know this shit. I was never a Lord of the Rings fan, so I've never read the books, so I have very surface level knowledge of Lord of the Rings. But I wouldn't be surprised. Tolkien and whose name the Narnian guy? Oh, C.S. Lewis were part of the same group and wanted to create Catholic myths that were that do not require different religious view, although naming the main god Arrow got close. Oh, C.S. Lewis, yes. Oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. I have read most of the Narnia books. Maybe I'm missing one or two. I haven't read most of the Narnia books. And those are very blatantly Christian. I didn't know Catholic. I'd have to read to see if I can spot the Catholic bits, but definitely very Christian. Like God, like there's a whole scene where they baptize a dragon, like very, like full out baptism of a dragon. Very, and I guess the Witch, the Wardrobe, or whatever. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe has Jesus coming back to life. So, Aslan, right? Is that his name? Aslan coming back to life. So very, very clearly a religious text or religiously inspired text literature. But I didn't know that about C.S. Lewis. I didn't know that about Tolkien. That's interesting. Like I said, I haven't read Tolkien, so I'm just not as familiar with his work just because I haven't read it. But see, Tolkien is not my cup of tea. That's all. Like Tolkien didn't seem malicious, racist, but he was old timey racist. Yeah, I'm sure. You know, so here's the thing. I am absolutely certain that in 20, 30 years, someone, if YouTube's still around, or somebody decides to do an archaeological dig on Rhetoric and Discourse his channel or whatever, and somebody finds my videos and my streams or whatever, I would not be at all surprised if somebody said that some of my content or some of the things that I said were racist or misogynistic or transphobic or whatever. I wouldn't be surprised, right? And I'm probably like I like again, I think like Tolkien, it's not necessarily a malicious racism or malicious bigotry. It's the like our own internal bias that we haven't gotten through. So I wouldn't be surprised if people said that about my content, because things change over time, and that's okay. The problem will only be is if in 30 years people find R&D's content and it's the same in 30 years as it is now, and it's equally racist or bigoted or whatever. If I haven't changed in 30 years to be less of a bigot, then I'm fucking up. If it's like, yeah, 30 years ago I said some misogynistic shit on my random ass YouTube channel, it's like, yeah, probably. But I'm sure I did. I'm sorry about it. I don't know any better because this is the time that I live in. And it's like the point is you got to just actually change with the times so that you improve rather than stay stagnant and continue to stay being a racist asshole. Okay. Do you call yourself an English major? I do. God, Lord of the Rings is so boring. There's so much walking. I couldn't get into it. I tried. My friends were all like, you gotta read it, especially when the movies come out. Everyone's like, you gotta read it. I just so much walking. I read first like 50 pages of The Fellowship. I couldn't. It was real boring. Like, it was real boring writing. I don't like, if you're into it, good on you, but it was just real boring writing. I just couldn't. I've read some boring ass books, and that one just kind of took it for me. Sorry, I'm sorry. I just do not enjoy that. Okay. I've not managed to get through the Two Towers through 3 ties. Read Narnia once a year up until I was 30. Yeah, Narnia is well written. I do really, really enjoy Narnia. Like I said, I'm pretty sure I just haven't read like the last book. I have all of them too. Not in this bookcase. One of my bookcase out in the living room, I have the whole collection, all the Narnia books. I read them. I started reading them a few years back, and I really they're super quick reads. 2, they're really like they're so fluid and so well written. I really do enjoy the Narnia books. I think they're fantastic. Someone else should probably read them too. I would recommend them. Just again, understand that they're very like they do not hide the religious bits at all. Like it's not subtle. It's not like subtle religiousness. It's very blatant religiousness, which is fine. Like nothing wrong with being blatantly religious. Just pointing it out. But I think Aslan was a Turkish word for lying, which would be ironic. Would be ironic. I would not be surprised if we considered bad for eating meat in 50 years. Yeah, I would not. Like, right? Like, I would not at all be surprised if we were considered, you know, like, oh, I can't believe 50 years ago people were so barbaric that they ate meat all the time. Like, I would not be surprised. But I would not. I think that's a really good point. Got through Narnia once, and I doubt I could read all 7 willingly, or maybe 3 of the books, Nephew, Wardrobe, and Chair. The rest never really enthused me. Trying to remember which one was my favorite one. Prince Caspian. I like the Caspian one, the Caspian Sea one, the one that they go on the boat and they travel around. I really liked the boat one. That one was fun. I don't remember which one that was. I don't know if I have to. God, I have all these books and I just don't remember them all. The one where they go on the boat, I really liked, which I don't think is Prince Caspian. I think that's the second one. I think it's the third one when they go on the boat. That might be the Nephew. Is that Nephew? The third one when they go on the boat. Voyage of the Dawn Treader. There we go. That one's the one I liked. What I read right now, I'm in second try through the Artemis file. First one ended when my book had a printing error and I had to return them, but I did not get a replacement. Aww. Voyage, yeah, the Voyage. I like that one. I like that. That one's the one that's more memorable too. I remember that one more than I remember Wardrobe. Nephries of people where the world Narnia is made. Oh, okay, that's probably where I'm at. That might be where I'm at. I have to remember. God, so many of them, and they came out in weird orders, and oh God, the orders of Narnia book. Oh well. With that said, I think we are at about 2 hours of this show. Wonderful, wonderful show. Thank you everyone for being here. We got some good book talking, good book recommendations. Go read Orson Scott Card books. Do not pay him for it. Go steal them on somewhere. No, don't steal them. Do find them without paying for them, or go find them at a used bookstore because he does not deserve your money. But they are all excellent. The Alban Maker series is really good. And same thing with both the Shadow and the Ender series. Highly recommend both of those. I highly recommend C.S. Lewis's Narnia books. I think they're fantastic. At least the ones I've read. Libraries still do exist. A lot of them don't go to libraries, obviously, for obvious reasons. But a lot of them do have online things, so get them online if you can because they are good. Thank you everyone for being here. I do greatly appreciate it. I had a whole lot of fun talking about books and how Jeremy does not know how literature works. That was fun. But I will keep an eye out for video. I'm gonna go with probably next Saturday. It is finished and I might change my mind and I might just release it out of nowhere, but I'm gonna go with next Saturday. And then hopefully in the meantime, if I can get my shit together, I'm going to try working on another video by Red Pill Philosophy. Because he's an idiot. We want to talk about it. So, thank you everyone. Have yourselves a wonderful weekend. I will see you all next time. Stay inside, wear a mask, do the things, you know, all the good stuff. Have a good time. We'll see you all next time.